Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video. If you're new here, my name is Olivia or Livy, and I make videos surrounding books, art, and everything in between. So if you enjoy this video, please stick around because we have so much more. First of all, I want to say happy 2025. I honestly can't believe that it's already 2025. I feel like 2024 absolutely flew by for me. I was lucky enough to go traveling for a bit. I went to school in London, I lived in Stockholm for a bit, and I also read a bunch of amazing books along the way. Since the number 7 is my favorite number and also my lucky number, I wanted to just tell you guys about my top 7 favorite books that I read in 2024. I had an amazing range of books that I read this year, from swoon-worthy romances to creepy gothic tales. These books all transported me to incredible places, and I'm so excited to share them with you today. My first favorite book of 2024 is Gallant by V.E Schwab. This book was genuinely like stepping into a dream, or rather a nightmare. It's so atmospheric, so captivating, and it just sucked me in right away. V.E Schwab is my favorite author already, so maybe I have an unfair bias, but I thought this book was incredibly written. It definitely is more of an atmospheric read opposed to a plot-driven read. However, the plot is still incredible, and you really get invested. You really get invested in it, but if you're looking for like an epic fantasy fairy tale, this might not be it for you. The story follows a little girl named Olivia Pryor. That was the other reason it's my favorite, because that's just a great name. She is drawn to an estate or large Victorian house named Gallant, which is owned by her family, who she doesn't know. She is basically living in an orphanage, which she hates, and gets a letter from her uncle summoning her back to Gallant. She can also see spirits and ghosts that other people cannot see, which was easily my favorite part of the whole book. I love spooky things, anything horror related or spooky, like I am right there, absolutely obsessed with it. But the way she wrote this, it almost felt like if you love claymation or stop motion animation or like anything Jim Henson-y, I would do anything to see this turned into a Tim Burton movie or like a Jim Henson Labyrinth kind of deal. Those were the vibes of this book. Absolutely adored it. It was incredible. Please give this a read. The next book on this list is Rouge by Mona Awad. 2024 was truly the year of Mona Awad for me. I started off by reading Bunny and I immediately got hooked and picked up literally all her other books. If you've never read a Mona Awad book before, it basically feels like a fever dream, and in all of them, you're kind of just watching the main character's descent into madness, but you don't really know what's real and what's not. It's so interesting, and I've never read any books that make me feel the way that these do. This book is very dark, very unsettling, but also very elegant and beautiful in many ways. It is a very twisted fairy tale about beauty and obsession and comparison. It is about a young woman who loses her mother. They have a very strange relationship with each other, and there was a lot of emphasis on beauty and aesthetics growing up. And after the passing of her mother, she starts to learn more and more deep secrets about her and her involvement in a certain group. I couldn't stop thinking about this one. Every metaphor, the poetic nature of her writing, everything. Awad is officially one of my new favorite authors, which brings me to my third book, which is All's Well by Mona Awad. Now, I absolutely adored Rouge, but when I read All's Well, I was completely floored. Like, when I tell you, I have not stopped thinking about this book since I read it, and I think I read this like 3 months ago now. I legitimately think about it every single day. It follows the story of Miranda, who is a theater teacher at a high school. She suffers from chronic pain, and when she waltzes into a dive bar one night and runs into 3 mysterious strangers, her life takes an incredibly wild turn. If you are a lover of Shakespeare like myself, or a fellow actor, or lover of theater, the callbacks to Shakespeare, the dark humor, and just the raw portrayal of pain and feeling invisible. It also does tie into a lot of themes regarding the pressures that we put on women to be well and happy and polite and digestible all the time, which I think is such an interesting topic to look deeply into, and this definitely goes there. Awad really has a way of making you laugh, making you cry, and making you get extremely existential all at the same time. This book truly feels like a mirror held up to the absurdity of life, and I just loved every single second of it. The next book on this list is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. You know it, you've heard of it, it's incredible. I had held off on reading this for a while, and I actually cannot believe that I did that, because when I read this, I was genuinely floored. Talk about atmospheric. You're reading a war novel, like a World War II, World War I novel, but the magic in it, the magic system in it, it's so well thought out. It's so beautifully written. It was incredible. The love story, don't even get me started on Roman Kit and Iris Widow. If you are a fan of slow burn romance with a little touch of fantasy, then you would absolutely love this book. It follows the story of Iris Widow and Roman Kit, who are 2 rival journalists working for the same newspaper. While they are working at this newspaper, a war between 2 gods ensues in the world. Both of their typewriters are, unbeknownst to them, connected, and so they end up striking up an anonymous friendship by writing each other anonymous letters, talking about the war, sharing ideas and thoughts, but also slowly starting to catch feelings for each other in the process. And let me tell you, it is just as beautiful as it sounds. It is so romantic, it is so sweet. The romance is just so young and tender, and it so perfectly encapsulates the feeling of your first love and like that giddiness of having a crush. It's so cute and amazing, I love it. It's also packed with incredible emotional depth, and the second one, Ruthless Vows, was just as amazing, I think. So please, please give this a read. Okay, this next one. I really could not pick a list of 2024 favorites without mentioning our Lord and Savior, Sarah J. Maas. Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, everybody, 2024 was the year that I read the Throne of Glass series, and wow, I truly cannot believe that it took me this long to do so. I think that this book is such a pivotal installment of the Throne of Glass series. Not just Aelin's adventure in this book, but also we get introduced to Manon, who is my personal, I mean, aside from Aelin, which of course she's the best, but Manon is my favorite character. I love her. It is nothing short of epic. There's heartbreak, vengeance, and so many jaw-dropping twists that literally, once you start, you can't stop. As you can see by my tabs, there's a lot that I wanted to remember. I think the reason why I loved this one so much is because I do love such kind of dark gothic visuals, and we really get a lot of that in this book. It is very dark. There are parts that are like quite scary. And also I just love a woman who's just crusty and an ice queen. I just love that. It's why I love Nesta. Watching Manon go from who she is in this book and her character development throughout the rest of the series is such a beautiful thing to watch. Her strength and resilience is truly something to behold. Sarah J. Maas knows how to write a high-stakes fantasy like no one else. I applaud her, and I'm going to reread this probably again this year because it brought me so much joy I can't even begin to tell you. If you haven't picked up this series yet and you are interested in fantasy, but you're kind of feeling like, oh, it's just so overhyped, like, I don't want to read it because like everyone's read it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let yourself enjoy things. In 2025, let's let ourselves enjoy things without being cringe. Nothing is cringe if you decide that it's not. Liv Baker, 2025. Obsessed, love it, 5 stars. Okay, and the next book on this list is a book that I actually read on my Kindle this year, and that is Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. On a completely different note and vibe from the rest of this list, this book is truly a timeless classic and treasure. If you are struggling in your 20s, trying to figure out your career, your passions, if you're an artist and you're just feeling burnt out and uninspired and lost, which is exactly how I was feeling, I picked this book up and I've probably reread excerpts of it a million times since finishing it, because it is such a beautifully crafted toolkit and guide on how to get out of your head and just let yourself create unabashedly, unashamedly, just create. This collection of letters is truly like a hug to your soul. It truly made me pause and reflect on my creative process and life in general. It is definitely a book that you keep coming back to, and it's earned its place on my shelf permanently. Okay, and number 7 on this list, the book literally had me giggling and kicking my feet throughout the whole year. And that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. If you loved Once Upon a Broken Heart, this will steal your heart all over again. You love gushy's the wrong word. If you love cute, teddy bear-like, cozy, sweet romance, it is still enemies to lovers, but it's just such a, I want to wear my pink PJs and sip on a little sweet drink with some chocolates and just fall in love with this random man on these pages, which that's what I do weekly. So Garber has an incredible affinity to create the most enchanting characters and worlds. Her world building is crazy and it doesn't ever feel like too much. There's also quite a lot of plot twists in this. The plot is amazing. Like, I talk about the atmosphere a lot, but the plot of these books are actually, you really get sucked in, and there's a lot of twists and turns that really throw you for a loop. Jax, the Prince of Hearts, such a beautifully complex character, and she writes him in such a way that you just can't help falling in love with him, even though he can be a total dick. This book truly felt like stepping into a fairy tale. Like, I would put on my fairy tale ambiance and just cuddle up, read this, and I want to read this a million more times. I want to live in this book. I also was lucky enough to have read this series when I was in the UK, so I did get the UK covers, which is incredible because the North American covers for these, like, yawn. You know what I mean? So there you have it, guys. Those are my top 7 books from 2024. Each of these books truly left a lasting impression on me, and I will definitely reread a lot of them. I hope they inspire you to pick one of them up. Let me know if you do, and let me know how you like it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Once again, if you have any recommendations based on the books that I just talked about, please leave them in the comments below because I'm always looking for new recommendations. Remember to follow me on Instagram at livyslib.